Okie dokie. Alright, looks like we are good to go. So let's dive into this camera API. Have you done anything in here yet? Doesn't look like it. What I was kind of thinking about doing is starting with the very basics, and that's like setting up triggers. And then the triggers, they can have, each trigger can have like its own camera type, and then we'll label them, and that way we can experiment with each camera. We have like a station for each camera mode. Does that make sense?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Hey Cheryl, how are you?
Hi. Who's this? Is that you, Steam? That doesn't sound like Steam Blue.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, now it sounds like him. I have a brother-in-law that has the same accent as you.
Nice. Um, if you want to, I am live streaming here on Discord. If you want to follow along there, or I'm also live streaming on YouTube, whichever works best for you.
Okay. So I was on here, but I don't know where I am right now. Oh, there's a lot of people are on. They're on. All right, let me go look on this. Do I need to have my laptop open?
So we are in the desktop editor, and we're going to be working in TypeScript, playing around with the camera API. So we're going to go through setting up like some stations for each camera mode, and so we can experiment with them.
Okay. All right.
So one thing I want to do, I know that I'm going to probably want, let's just go to the Learn Center, because I at least want my API references for the camera. We'll start with classes. So we've got, here's the modes: third person, pan, orbit, follow, fixed, first person, and attach. And then the camera itself. Where is... Yeah, local camera. Okay. We might need to also locate the documentation, not under tutorials. Although there are camera API tutorials, a world and a whole path that you can go through. But there should also be custom UIs in there. I think cameras might have been under mobile and web. TypeScript, camera. So, how to set the first person camera mode. The camera API supports the first person game camera that follows the local player avatar. It has no effect in VR, where the first person is always enabled. Okay. And then it shows us just importing local camera from the camera API, and then we can access local camera and set camera mode first person, no parameters. And this script is meant to run locally And so when you call this, basically these two lines of code inside one of your scripts is going to let us switch at least to first person, and I bet we can use the same logic to kind of call the other ones as well. Also, it looks like it does come with some options. You can set the duration that it takes to switch to first person, and then easing. Actually, I don't have a verbal explanation for that, but we can figure it out. We'll test. We'll play around with what kind of effect it has, and see what it does.
Luke,
Yeah.
can you the words on my view are a little washed out. It's hard to see some of the typescript. Are you able to, that's perfect. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. So also I've got it for smooth and not for text readability because I was planning on working in the editor for the most part. But yeah, these were the two lines of code. So it's basically local camera dot, and then you'll be able to access any of these modes. These also was saying how these modes have optional options like the duration and the easing. So here's one for third person, no parameters, but also has duration and easing. If we go, is that all though? Because let's look at camera modes. Ooh. Oh wait, nope. I meant to be up here. So like first person, that's what we were looking at. Okay. Here it is. What was this? Oh, this is under camera. The camera class. Okay. So attach mode, first person mode. Enables the first person view. So it optional options, camera transition options. We can look and see what camera transition options have to say. It also returns a promise, which is a camera transition end reason. We could look what some of those reasons might be if you wanted to catch something possibly. So our camera transition options are a delay, a duration, and an easing. I think in our script that we were looking at, it wasn't including delay. And so delay is this time in seconds to wait until the transition begins. Okay, so default is 0. So basically if you enter the trigger and we initiate camera change on you, the delay is how long it would be before that actually started to take place. Let me send a link. I'll drop a link in chat. Perfect. This is the document we're looking at right now. This is the API references for, at the moment, this is the camera transition options. Okay. But we went a little deep into the camera set first person mode under the camera class for the camera API. So duration, so this is how long it actually takes to go from the old position to the new position. And then easing, the style in which to transition from the previous to the new camera occurs over time. So the style, default is linear. But then it says nothing about like the other styles. But let's look, because there is a reference to easing, right? What was that?
Oh yeah, there's numbers.
Yeah, there's numbers, but there's no descriptions. Hey, JB.
Yeah, it's just a basic curve, but better than nothing.
Yep. So I'm going to have to take a quick break. I got my oven beeping. I'm going to pull out and cut a pizza up. But yeah.
Okay.
I'll be back in just a minute or two. You guys can chat amongst yourselves, take a look over the documentation that I've showed you so far. or pop in your own worlds and see what you can figure out. I'll be back in a minute.
Maybe you have in there?
It is.
So have you played with these ease and outs?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine they like either speed up or slow down at the
It's
end.
like it eases in and eases out of the motion. So, as an example, it would start slow and then pick up speed and then do the constant. And it depends on at which point you start to ease, or like about one motion, like between 2 points, it'll ease very, very slow and then get to the point. But if there's multiple points, then it might not be perceivable, but it's cool.
I shared a link that shows the visuals of the easing, which would be helpful. It doesn't seem like the API has all of the options for easing.
No.
For ease in, ease out, and linear, you can kind of get an idea of what
Yeah.
that has. And I would imagine they would add these other standard,
Well, let's look in the API real quick.
It seems like you could
Wait a second.
on.
I don't have camera mode.
You gotta turn it on in your API.
you have to.
I'm trying to look at the manual. Camera passes illumination. Passes illumination. Oh, maybe I stand it. There it is.
That mobile and web players tutorial had really good, a really good camera showcase.
Okay, hold on.
Here, which I really like.
Okay. All right. So yeah, easing in and in out, easing out. Okay. So that's pretty. Actually, I get it all of a sudden. So this would just be easing in, like moving into the new camera mode. This would be moving into the new camera mode and moving out. And this would just be moving out.
I think aren't these going to be out of the old camera and into the new camera?
No, they're referencing the motion.
Okay.
I have to see what it.
If you look at the examples that I'm sorry, I didn't see who put it in. But if you look at these curves, they represent speed and time.
Okay.
Okay.
The duration is always set by whatever, but the curve of it changes.
Right, the speed over the time distance, So you can see like certain ones like that, I can't even pronounce it. Sinusoid dial? I don't know.
It's sinusoidal.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Sinusoidal.
So you can see how that's got really slow curve, so that's gonna not move quickly, but then it'll speed up and get there very quickly. Got that very pronounced curve there. But the circular will be very almost linear. But I just think these are going to be mostly.
I have to see what that means. We also said it returned a promise too, right? And so those are complete, air, and interrupted with no descriptions.
Can you determine how long the transition is from
Yeah.
for the piece?
I think it is a speed, isn't it?
I think that was durate. I think that was the.
The duration, yeah.
If we go back, yeah, duration.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, that's a cool feature.
All right.
I think I'm too practical. I'll never use it, but like it's cool that it's there for people who are like not. They're like more interested in like the experience than me.
I mean, there's a ton of use cases. If you're on mobile, especially, you could totally replace a custom UI with a camera view.
Right.
And the limitations of the UI are, kind of.
Especially when you can't see things very well in that display, you can move the camera right up on the art or the UI or whatever.
I guess what I was saying is that I would, because I'm me and I know myself, I would probably just go instantaneous switch.
Yeah, you can do that too.
But it wouldn't be as nice an experience as someone with the exact same path as me, but
Well, it depends.
the experience.
You know,
Yeah.
they have custom movies for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, so the camera only works for mobile and the web, too.
Right.
Yep.
You gonna put any of this stuff into practice tonight, or is this?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking over. Everything that's available. So.
What's the import for the camera? I didn't see it on the API page.
It's in the set. You have to turn the settings on and add it as like
Oh, right. Turn the camera API on.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
This would be a lot of fun in like I can imagine like an arcade where my avatar can walk around, but then I go out to an arcade machine, then the camera would switch to like more of a sort of like 2D game, by like switching to a camera like that. Something really fun.
Mm-hmm.
For the hackathon, I'm using the camera a lot. If I can figure it out. If I can figure out any of this stuff, I will be using.
So I'm gonna ran in here real quick and turned on the API because I need to check something about the properties. But so I just created a script called local cams, and I needed to do that before API would even show up. If you don't have a script in your brand new world, you won't see API, and you'll be like, where's all the APIs? But anyway, so make your script first, then come in here, turn on camera. I just hit the gear cog up here under scripts at the top of the window. And then just hit apply. So now I can click on my script that I created. Yeah, I trust the file that I made. And now I have a basic script. It's not importing the camera yet. So let's go ahead and say import. I think it was. So there's already a call to it. Local camera and in the Horizon Camera API. So that was convenient. I didn't have to remember that whole line. And I think like we won't do we wouldn't do this at world start because we don't have a player here. But I should be able to reference local camera. Now do a period. And here was camera roll, the first property I saw in the API reference. Now, if I hover over it, we literally get, okay, so this is the part that I was missing in the document. If we go back and look at the page, it says camera row property. You can change this value over time using, and then there's a period. Like, okay. So that's why I went on that wild goose chase for just a second to find, first of all, if I hit period, yes, I can get and set this property, so that's cool. But also, now I know what the rest of the sentence was. And it was set camera row with options. If I click this, it brings us into the definition file for the camera, highlighting this set camera row with options, which has a roll angle, camera transition options, which we've already seen, returns a promise, which means just like the other camera switching did, right? Wait, so okay. Well, I was curious because this didn't say anything about being able to set it or get it, so I just wanted to confirm if I could do one or the other or both. So we can also see if collision's enabled for a camera. You know, sometimes if a player backs a camera into a wall, the wall will push the camera around. You can change that by turning the collision on and off on a camera. You can get the active mode. This is a readable property. Okay, so if it doesn't say it's readable, then you can probably get it and set it. But if it says it's just readable, then you can only get it, you can't set it. So you can get the current camera mode, and it comes back as a camera mode, I guess, which is a type that we could look at later if and when we need it. If I ain't worrying about it if I don't need it. So get the forward of the camera. Is force look at camera? Is current active camera force looking at something? Okay. Only readable. And then look at position. So this must be the forcing thing. Or gets, okay, no, this is just where we force the camera to look at.
Yeah, the one is for an object and one's for just a vector.
Perspective switching enables whether the player is allowed to toggle between first and third person modes. Okay, cool. Don't affect VR, obviously. Position of camera, rotation of camera. These are readable only. Up of camera, readable only. And then convert world. So those were properties of the camera itself. Now these are things the camera can do, right? The methods. And so it can convert world to screen point. Converts a world position to a screen point on mobile and desktop.
Oh, that's smart.
X,
So it's like
Y
flat.
represents top left.
Yeah, it's like a piece of paper. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's a max of 1. The screen's a max of 1 from corner to corner. So wait, and Z represents the distance to the object. Negative will be behind the camera. Okay.
That's interesting.
Force look at. So you can force the camera to look at a target. Target can be a player, an entity, or a vector. And there's options, forced look at options. Options for transitioning to and from the forced look at. Imagine that. Get camera mode object as, gets the current camera mode object as a specific type. So T runtime camera mode. What is this? The type of camera mode object to get must extend I camera mode. If anyone has, honestly, I'm kind of not sure at the moment on this one. Get the current camera mode object as an orbit. Okay, so can change it from just a regular camera to an actual orbit camera.
I think one of those cameras is static and will only change once, and then the other camera will update based on your target. So if you,
I have to play around with that one to understand it a little more. I'm not sure.
I think if you fix the camera to look at, say a cube, and then later on, instead of just staring at the cube, you want to have it follow the cube, and the cube starts moving, then you have to switch it to an orbit camera. But I could be wrong too. Yeah, I think playing around with it will make sense, because I noticed
this makes me think of the way they've worded this, and because of other TypeScript that uses the as keyword, a lot of times we're casting entities as gizmos, so we can access that gizmo's specific methods and properties. It makes me think this is casting the camera as a specific kind of camera.
Yeah, I think it's for third-person view, because that's under the orbit camera.
Because it returns back a class type. Or no, it asks for a class type. My bad. Okay.
there's like one, two, three, four. There's like 6 different camera modes, so you just cast it as whatever mode you want it to be. If that makes sense. So it's still a camera, but it's inherited from.
It's a specific camera.
So it's first person, fixed camera. It's all coming up. You're about to hit it in the documentation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm testing this in the editor right now, and so when I go into preview in the editor, am I going to see these camera changes in the editor?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, it must not be working then. I'll paste the script to the chat.
Okay. So you did give ownership to the player, right? And it is local. I don't know if
Wait,
you.
what was that again?
Did you set it to a local script and give player ownership?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, try that.
Okay.
Override the camera far clipping plane. This one's relatively new. So set the far clipping plane of the camera. Adjust the camera far to 50. I was just trying to see what are the max values. That's interesting because I remember Shards posting about this when it showed up, and we wasn't clear, at least not without testing it. Like, does it extend it beyond what it's currently at now, or can we just bring it closer? Not quite sure on that one. Override the field of view for a player. Reset that far clipping plane. Reset field of view. Set. So here's our first camera mode that we can try. Enables attach mode for a camera, which automatically follows a player's a target entity's position and rotation. So this kind of feels like manual third person.
Yeah.
If the
So,
hmm.
oh, sorry, I just, so you said set it to local, which I did, but, do I need to assign ownership or something, or?
Yeah, yeah, you will have to assign it. Hi Michelle, I see you in chat. Yeah, you will have to assign it to the player. Wherever you're the script that you're referencing, the local camera, it's the local camera of the player that owns it, that owns that script. Camera targets, yeah, can be entities or players. Okay, so yeah, you could attach this to another. Wait, I went too far down. I think I got into. But yeah, same. So you attach it to a target. The target could be another player, you or another object, right? And then it also takes those transitional options and returns an end reason. So that's kind of cool. Actually, that makes me wonder if I attach you to a throw, like a ball, and I throw you. Are you just gonna like? I guess you're just gonna go around with this ball, aren't you?
Let's try it.
You want to play around? You want
I pasted a script in the chat there, and I was just hoping to get just a first-person view when I enter a trigger, just real simple.
Let's look, because this. I'm just gonna take your script because we're kind of at this point.
Yeah, I think it's broken. I had AI's help.
So first person trigger extends, blah blah blah. Okay, pre-start, start, connect to this entity on player enter trigger, pass in the player. We're accessing the local camera. We're setting them to first person mode. I don't see anything wrong with it. Let's throw it in. I'm gonna save this. Let's see what happens. So I do need a trigger. Let's go to build gizmos, drag this down, and then I'm going to kind of push it over in front of where I know the spawn point is. Shapes. Actually, I don't want shapes. Come back here.
So if you're setting the script up for one thing, do you need to have the same setup for as many players that might be in your world?
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Just one trigger should do it though, right? I mean, you should just have one trigger, and when people go through it, it just switches.
So yeah, if it really depends on what you need, because if you're only changing that player's camera one time ever, first of all, you could probably use a spawn point, because each time they go through a spawn point, it will change their camera to whatever drop down you've selected. But then if you need something more specific, you can get into TypeScript. That's what we're doing now. But if you only change that camera one time, then yeah, just when they enter trigger, give them ownership briefly, long enough to change their camera. And then, but the thing is, I'm kind of worried about like the transfer of ownership. It does take a little bit of time, and if people enter the trigger too rapidly, unless you set up some type of queuing system, to make sure that ownership was indeed transferred, camera was indeed changed before you move on to the next person, no matter how fast they enter the trigger, you might potentially run into issues. Although it's doable, you might want to consider that, because changing ownership. But alternatively, you just create one for each player that you expect in your server, give them ownership of their own camera, and they just keep it the entire time, especially if you're going to be changing their camera view, throughout their experience. This is attach camera, and it's called first person trigger. Terrible naming. Actually, no, it isn't actually. It was because we borrowed. So this is just first person. So we do enter the trigger, but I think we need to transfer ownership of this trigger to the player before we're able to change his camera. Now, this is the part where you might have to take this a step further. So, if you're okay with the first method of just using one entity for the camera and changing it one time, but if that's the case, and especially if it was first person, you would just use the spawn point gizmo, because you can easily do that with a spawn point gizmo. Now, but let's assume that we do want to get a little more complicated. And so I would need to create a new script. This one wouldn't have to be local anymore. So we'll just set this one back to default, because we're going to leave it running on the trigger. The trigger's still going to do a thing, but it's not going to do a camera thing. It's going to send an event to another script that is going to do the camera thing. So this is actually, so this should be local camera, but I'm going to call it, you may have seen this term before, player manager or player controller. So I think what we can do, set this thing to local. Let's open it up. Now this is the one that I'll have per player, right? So we'll go ahead and create like 3. Actually, I'll make 1 for now. We'll rename it to a player manager. And we're going to attach that player manager script. And so it's the first one. And then when we get it right, we'll make duplicates. But let's go back to our script. So some people may approach this in different ways. I like to give my player managers an index and make that a props definition, so it will appear in the property panel for my, actually I think that needs to be hz props type dot number. So now if I hit save and I watch, get out of the way. Okay, now index shows up. So now as I duplicate my player manager, I can manually change this number from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to represent each index for each player. So then I'll use that. Now I have a number. I'm going to listen for I'm just going to take this suggestion. So I always connect to my events in pre-start. But we're going to connect to this player manager. It's going to listen for not trigger enters. I actually want to replace that with on player enter world. We can see that does come with a player, of course, so we can still continue, but this console is like inaccurate now, but that's fine. We're not going to really use one. So when a player enters the world, we can check that player's index, and if it matches ours, we can transfer ownership of ourselves, but only if our owner is server player. So let's just like check if this dot entity dot owner dot get open close so that will return, and then if it's equal, or let's say if it's not equal, can't remember if it'll accept one or two. We'll find out in just a second. This dot world dot get server player, just open close. Okay, so that should let me know if it's not server player. We could do an and here, but I'll just do another if so it doesn't, and my if doesn't get so long. We'll say this dot props dot index equals player dot, I think it's index dot get. So actually I think we want this to say if the owner is the server player and our index matches the player's index, then yeah, we want to go ahead and this dot entity dot owner dot set to player. Now that will rerun, and the second time around owner won't be server player, and so none of this will execute. So now we have an object that we can transfer ownership to our players. So that means we can access their local cameras. And so on world start, so world will start every time ownership changes. So the first thing we'll do is check to see if owner does not equal server player on world start, because the first time it will, but then the second time after we transfer ownership and it causes the script to reset, it won't equal server player. And now we can set, let's not do any options just yet. Let's just see if we can get first player mode to work. So let's see if we got everything set up. So as long as my index is 0, which I don't think it will be, it'll probably actually be Mutt's because he was in here first. But I could create another one of these. No, yeah, this
Gotta
is.
go, guys. I'll see you.
All right, later, JB.
Okay, maybe.
So I create a second one. So that means we need to number them, right? So make this one 0.
Typing that script out, do you? Almost got it. You just missed the last part of that player manager.
Yeah, the transferring of the ownership stuff. So this needs to be player manager 1, which means I need to go into the index now and make this 1. All right. So now we don't even actually with this script, we don't even need the trigger at the moment. Because as soon as we join the world, we can force a player immediately into a camera mode. Although we can run it, well, it's already running on a thing. This one's running my old script. So let's go ahead and test this. I'm going to stop the world, hit play, and let's say we force third person with the spawn point. I don't know which one's going to happen first, the spawn point or the script. But the script should put us in first person. So let's see what point of view we end up in. So we did end up in third. We may have been in first at first. So let's delay this event by saying this dot async dot set timeout, interfering with my let's time it out for 3 seconds. So it'll wait. This will wait 3 seconds before executing our first person switch. So now let's make sure our script is done executing. As long as I don't see anything else pop up in the next few seconds, we should be good to go. Alright, hit play. First person. There we go. So yeah, 3 seconds expired and it did switch for us. So now we have the basics set up. Now we can play with this and play with our options and see what else is available.
Can you paste that player manager code? Yeah, that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I've been trying to type it all along, but I'll just paste the whole thing. Thank you. How do you get the code? You got the code in there.
It's 3 tildes for code and then TS. So for TypeScript. And then go down to the next line, paste your code, and then end it in 3 tildes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blue, is it standard practice to do the player manager for pretty much everything?
You know, it makes it super convenient in most cases because if this is owned by a player, you can set up, like at this point when I go to set the owner, actually I would say I would put an else here. So if the script has restarted and we're not server player anymore, I could do things like connect to a network event on player. And now any script in my world can send an event to a player. So like if I have other objects in my world running other scripts and a player interacts with that object, or even another player for that matter, another player manager, could send events directly to the player that it interacted with, and then that player's player manager is going to be able to hear it, react to it. So that kind of format really started in code blocks. But yeah, I think it's still relevant here in TypeScript.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest hurdle I'm having with figuring out things is just the ownership and the management and communication of everything.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like not really clear as day to me either. Um, I've gotten things to work, and I'm always learning like new ways to do things as well. I kind of think we always are, unless you're just a freaking master, which I only know one of those.
Who's that?
Waffles,
We don't need to talk about it.
huh?
Who's the master? I want to know that too.
Yeah, we should invite them in here.
No, see, well, I
That
was just curious who it is in case I run into them.
anyone or the only person that has never failed to have an answer to something has been waffle copters.
To work. That's cool. I'm gonna try to figure out why the trigger doesn't work. So.
You did get it to work?
Yeah, the player enters world, but not the trigger enter.
Gotcha. Cool. So for trigger enter, now we said this script here was still running on our trigger. So we can use this. We can do that event thing that we talked about earlier. So anytime I'm going to start setting up events in my world, I make a habit of just coming in here, right click, say new file, call it events.ts, hit enter, and now I can create events that I can export out and import in any of my other scripts. And I think in some cases like that you have to have the same instance to communicate. It might be networked events, I'm not sure, but I always make sure when I'm using events that it's the same instance, with the exception of built-in code block events. I don't for those. But so let's say export const, and then these will be our camera events. We're going to set these equal to, and now I can create a list of camera events, and they're going to have to be network events because it's a local script and we need to be able to communicate across the internet, not just within the same host, because the script will be running on the player's headset, right? So that's why they call it network as opposed to local event, which is also another type, and it makes everything super confusing because they're not for local scripts, but whatever. So let's create a event called camera, or we can just say change camera, and this is going to be a, actually before we can do this we're going to have to import our Horizon library. Now we can say hz dot, I say we're going to need a network event, and it needs to say new network event, I think, right? Yeah. So now it needs its arguments, and its arguments are the name. So really, all it cares about is the name of the event. But there's other parameters that are optional that we could throw in here. Or I think if we want, no, I got it. So if we want modes, let's import I don't actually know. Camera mode. Can that? Okay. So can I say mode? Wait. How does this go again? I don't think, I may have to look up, I always forget, I have to reference my other scripts to do these properly. Let me just double check. Or, what is this? Is that even possible? Hang on. Okay, I guess it probably has nothing to do with it. Let me pull up. One of my other event files I've already wrote. Okay, there we go. So it's not parentheses, it's curly brace for one. Okay, and it does let me use a camera mode. So I'm thinking now I can come back to my trigger and I could probably, holy crap. I want to use a property to set each trigger's camera mode, so we may have to create a number called mode and then set up like a function that translates this into unless someone else knows a better way of doing it. But yeah, so like 0 for first person and so on.
It's already enum in the camera class.
But I can't, like I'm restricted to my types for prop definitions.
Oh, that can't be a camera mode in your type?
No, if because these are what shows up inside. It can only be things I can set this way, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh.
And so we are limited to these prop types.
Oh yeah, so it would be easier to be a number than reference the camera mode.
Yeah, but I think our enums, yeah. So our enums are also numbers. So we don't need to translate anything. They'll just reference whatever they reference in the enum.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, cool. Now that we've got over the hurdle that we created, or I created.
I just love watching you go through this.
I have a really basic question.
Yeah.
What is this camera used for? I know I apologize.
So you know when if you play on mobile, you can change a person's point of view from first person to third person. But if you can this allows you to manipulate their camera beyond just first person and third person. You can take control of their camera and move it around the map. But it is only for mobile players. It doesn't affect VR players. So that's the big kind of difference here.
Oh, okay. I thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Hey, Blue, regarding that, like I know we're all building for mobile for this hackathon and stuff, but what's a good course of action to set this up so the VR users have a good experience as well? Like, do we just bypass all of the camera controls and just leave it default because it's just not going to work, or?
Well, I mean, you have to approach, when you build a world, you have to approach it from the very beginning. Well, I mean, you have to make a decision from the very beginning. Because VR players, they can't experience any of this camera stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about how that's going to affect, like, the idea of your world. Are you going to exclude them altogether? Can you can you morph your idea into one that appeals or can function for both of them? In the example of, like, Kaiju, mobile players are the attackers and VR players are the Godzillas or the Kaiju, the big monsters, because they can articulate their arms and destroy buildings. All the mobile players need to do is point and shoot.
Oh yeah, that's great game design. I like that.
Yeah, and so yeah, it just depends on, like, what your idea calls for.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're going to send when on trigger enter, we're going to send an event to the player that entered the trigger. We need to import camera events from events now. So now that we did that, we can access camera events dot change camera. So now we've just referenced the event that we created in the other file and then exported and imported over here, right? But it wants a parameter, and we're going to give it wants mode, and I think we got to say hz camera mode dot. So I'd like to know, here we go, this is what I wanted to know. So it's first person for 0, third person, okay. This is going to be useful, so we'll keep this up. So we're actually, the mode, I don't even think, how can I, wait, I've got myself confused now. Because I've got a number here. I think on the far, I don't think it matters here. I think on the far end is where it matters. So here we can just say this dot, I think Copilot had it right from the beginning, I just ignored it. So this should do the trick. It's going to send a network event to the player called change camera with a number as a parameter. The number is the one that we set manually on the trigger. So now we can duplicate this trigger, change this number, and that automatically changes the mode for us. So we're going to save this script. This script saved. We don't have to attach this one to anything. It's not a component. It's just a file that we're going to reference, right? You were useful, thank you. And then we need to save this script, I guess. I don't know what changes I made, but apparently I did something. Probably just this, I don't know. Alright, and once everything is done, I'm going to stop my world. So, can I have, oh, there we go. Alright, so this one is first person camera. So I can take this, Control D, open up, slide, Control D, slide, Control D, slide. So we can keep doing that, right? But then we could set this one to a 1, set this one to a 2. And so if we go back real quick, so 1 was third person, 2 was attach. So we could create a ball for 2 and attach a player camera to a ball and then throw it, see what happens.
Let's do that. I really like that idea.
Are you taking care of things, Mutz, or what's up?
Burbuns, are you following along? Are you typing all this?
Well, so now I'm really trying to go after that trigger enter, just to do first person, just the simplest possible thing.
So we did say 2 was attached, right? Okay. So that means I want to drop a ball. Let's half this ball. Let's make it. Actually, real quick, let's just. Where's my texture? AI. Basketball. All right. Hopefully that works, and I can continue working. I don't know. So we can switch. Uh-oh. What's going on here?
Usually those triggers are changing my camera.
Huh?
Neither of those first 2 triggers changing my camera.
Oh, you know what? We may not be finished. Hang on. On the player manager, we never did set ourselves up to receive the event. So we said we were only going to do that in this else, because the if was, if the owner is the server player, we'll then transfer ownership. If it's not the server player, we know it's a player, and now we can this dot connect to network event on player, and it was camera events from our event file. Interesting. So, okay. He's just like doing an if statement. Was there local camera dot set, or was there a camera current mode? But I think that was, yeah, that's only readable.
Between 2 local scripts.
Huh?
Doesn't seem to be connecting to code block events between 2 local scripts doesn't seem to be working. Do I need a network event or something?
No. You can use local events, but I think code block events would work too.
Okay. Yeah, I guess AI doesn't know how to set up a custom code block event. I'm not sure. So.
There are some documentation floating around about how to properly structure those connects and send events, because it is a little tricky at first. And like I said, even sometimes I still have to go back. I got that syntax wrong. I had to go back and reference my own work. I guess we will do it this way. I mean, whatever. I'm trying to waste time getting too fancy with it. Hey, go back.
Deep research on it and see if it can figure it out. It takes like 15 minutes though.
But we would actually do, what is it, a case, or is it called a switch? A switch statement? There we go. So your key would be data.mode, and then values 0. Forget how many they were. I think there's more than that, but that's fine for now. we can say local camera, first person, third person. That should be attach. Now attach don't have it's got some. So let's make a reference to that ball.
Oh, the dogs are gonna like this world.
Let's say so it's just an entity for now.
So,
And let's say const ball equals, you don't have to do the whole get thing, that's fine. Then if ball, now we can attach to ball. No options, we'll just leave it like that. Something's wrong. Oh, I didn't finish. That's because I think it's got to go there. Yeah. So we'll leave these blank for now. We can delete this. So now we just have this switch statement where mode is our key and numbers are our case, and then we're just going to call it like this. There might be a better way, but whatever. Saving this. So now our player managers are capable of listening to the players for this change camera event. I feel like there was something else I was doing before you made me realize that we made that mistake. But, oh yeah, we're setting up the ball. Oh yeah, we have basketball. That's a cool basketball AI. Alright, good enough. What's confusing me right now, oh, here we go. Motion, interactive, grabbable, physics. Disable physics while grabbed? No, thank you. Gravity, yeah, sure. Okay, so everything else is fine. Wait, what happened? Apply this.
I'm excited about seeing this ball flying.
Apply and save. Okay, here we go. Apparently I've only done this once in my life.
Deep research. I started deep research on ChatGPT, and hopefully you can figure it out. But I'm excited to see what you're doing here.
Oh, this thing's not called ball.
The other is for your using my camera.
Oh yeah, I know. I use it to, it types, so much faster. Usually faster.
What did I put the ball reference on? So do all of them, so if I put it on here, let's delete this ball reference real quick. Let's take our ball and let's give it a tag of just ball. Let's go back to our script, and now that we've deleted the ball reference, we don't have a ball to reference here anymore. But if we say this.world.getEntity with tag, open parentheses, and my tags need to be in a string, and it comes back as an array, give me the first one. Now we have a reference to ball and didn't have to link anything. Much better. Okay, so ball we can pick up, ball we can throw, players' cameras are changing, this one's set up on 2, this sets to attach, reference is ball that we got from the get entities with tags. Okay, so let's stop this. And Mutz, you're on desktop, aren't you too? So I'm going to walk in this trigger. What just happened to my camera? Oh, the 3 seconds. That's right. So I don't appear to be. Nothing appears to be happening. I don't appear to be attached to the ball.
The other trigger's still up there, you can get it.
Okay. I wonder if we don't have to leave and come back before some of this will work. Let me try one thing. Let me just make sure, like, give us some sanity checks, right? So, trigger entering. Let's make sure this is happening. Console.log player enter trigger. Why don't you go ahead and just give me the player.name.get as well. And so if player entered trigger, then we know we sent, at least try to send event to player. Now, if we're here and we receive event, player manager change camera data dot camera mode. So I don't really care about that. Give me the player dot name dot get again. That's all I really want. Alright, so now we'll know it got received. And if it got received, well, go ahead and give me mode so I'll know which path it took. Because it should take this one. And if it takes this one, I actually will break this out into like this and drop a console right here. I don't actually care about that. Just as long as you got here, I know that we attempted to attach camera mode attached to something. Alright, so let me exit the world, clear console. Okay, now I think it's finished. Play the world. Spawn in. In 3 seconds, we'll know that, yeah, okay. And if I walk into this trigger, I did enter the trigger, but I did not get the event on my player. So let's check. We know that this works because the first person after 3 seconds was still occurring. And actually I don't want that to happen anymore, but that was working. But we should still be able to change it. But this never got received. Well, we don't actually know for sure because we didn't have one before my if statement. Oh, you know what? I ran into this before. Because this is a local script and it does get reset, it's like this event. Okay. I think I may have just put this in the wrong place. Hang on. This is an on player enters world. But this, they won't enter the world twice. I stuck this in the wrong place.
I think you're right. You just have to move that up into the if statement if they exist in that world.
But I just take this out. And now it's still, wait, it's still inside of my on player enter, which I don't want either.
It's not though. It's only for players that don't exist. if you highlight all that and then just move it into that first if statement, it will fix the whole thing.
But this is, all of this is wrapped inside of the on player enters world.
Yeah, but you have to be that player.
But
Otherwise, it doesn't get assigned. It just needed to go up, I think, into that first if statement where if that player exists.
you're talking about this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so this is fine, and this handles when a player joins the world. And so we set ownership. It's going to reset the script. And so this, it'll reconnect, but this event won't fire a second time. But pre-start will fire a second time after the restart. So I can drop my connect here. We could actually drop it inside of an if statement. I just don't want to drop it inside of this code block event. But we can still drop it inside of if, and we can reference this.entity.owner.get as long as it doesn't equal the server player. And so now we can say things like here, well actually I would just set it to a constant variable. No, not that. And now I can just reference player here, well, now everywhere really. Okay.
That's a little confusing for me. I'm curious, so when the player comes in,
It is confusing.
that will assign, it'll assign that network event to all players or not players, if whether they come in or not, and then, but only the players will have it'll have the owner, the owner will be set to each individual entity, or in each individual instance of this, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was accurate. Yeah, just the tricky thing is that this script runs its world start every time ownership changes. And so I'm just kind of using it to our advantage. I'll check owner.
So, yeah, because I'm like trying to wrap my head around ownership. So that's triggered, that player manager is triggered every time the world restarts, and it just.
No, it's triggered. First of all, I think it's triggered on player enters the world.
Okay.
And so every single one of them will fire this console message on player enters world, which is actually not what I want. But they will all do this if statement. If they don't have a owner, well, they're going to check to see if they should be this player's, or if this player should be their owner by comparing the indexes.
That makes sense. Because if it exists already, it will basically, only one instance of that will
Right.
let it go through.
Yeah,
and isn't that where you would want to assign the follow-up script for that player?
This right here, when we transfer ownership, this is going to initiate that reset.
Oh, I see.
So now we're basically going back up here again, but with a new owner. So we're starting over on our, because when we set owner, it reset everything.
Who was the owner the first time?
Just server player.
Okay, so that's going to assign it to server player, and then it's going to assign it to server player on the second.
No, it's server player by default.
Okay.
So this, the first time, is false. None of this runs. The second time, it's now true. So now all of this runs.
Oh, I see. Because server player will come back. There's no owner of that server, or there's no owner yet.
Right. The first time around, there's no owner, so we'll just ignore it. But then, if this ever happens, now we get a second time around, and now we won't ignore it. You know, we'll do the camera thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that should work.
I think so. I thought so last time too, so, you know. And the time before that.
Yeah, that's how I feel a lot.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Can you throw it? Don't you have throwability of it?
Mutz, come pick this thing up. Can you throw it?
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, he's
Oh
got a
my
camera in
God.
his hand.
Oh, we could.
Yeah,
Oh God, this is
I
awesome.
don't have it put down.
This is camcorder. This is a camcorder.
Try running with it. You'll see it probably jostle around.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder if you put a really long duration and easing on it. If you would have, I bet you could offset the camera a little bit too, so you could always kind of see the ball, but from behind it. That's crazy.
How do
Yeah.
I throw on desktop?
Try Q. Now click.
That is awesome.
I wonder if it has to be set up for throwable.
I dropped it.
I think it's because
Now you gotta change the camera on release. You know, you gotta change it back to camera 1. When you
Oh, it doesn't have physics, so as soon as I let go of it, it just stays right where it is.
No, I've got a hold of it right now in the editor.
Oh, you do? Let go of it.
I'm looking at the properties.
Let go of it.
I'm just gonna let things go.
You did let go of it. I threw it.
Okay. Good.
But now you're not at work with the camera.
No, I'm not.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, enable throwing controls. Okay, how about, well, you're not sharing your screen, but
I could.
they should have, you may have to come out, hit the 3 little dots at the top, in the middle, change your preview device to web.
Share that preview link, and then we can all pop in there.
I don't think you can if it ain't published. Or you're not an editor. I think you...
I found that I could share the web link, but I couldn't share if it was published, but privately, you know. I could share those, but I couldn't share them on mobile.
Yeah, I mean, that's the link, but if you're not editor, I don't think it'll let you, but...
I'm gonna try it.
We'll set this, when we're done, we'll set this world up and make it available to anybody who wants it.
It's awesome. You can do so much with that camera thing right there. I'm thinking I'm going to rebuild my whole UIs based on camera adjustments.
Did you change your settings?
You gotta let me throw you.
Did you change your settings?
Yeah,
Oh, you figured it out.
I can only throw in the other mode.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Was that all you had?
Are you seeing this from third person, or how are you viewing it?
I'm doing it like normal and yeah, third person. Alright, let's
Okay.
throw it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So you took Blue's head off and just are rolling it around.
Wow.
Oh, that's so
I
cool.
really love how that landed. You can see us both.
Yeah. That's fun.
Oh yeah, you can build a guillotine, and you can put people's heads in there.
Wouldn't mind sharing those scripts.
Yeah. I'll
Hacking.
I'll be sure to pack them up. Also would want to clean them up for like the public and share them with everybody. But let me give me my mouse back for one. So here is that player manager. I'm going to drop it in the chat, assuming it's not too long.
You put the events in there as well.
Events. And then that local cam. I'm actually going to go back and edit the original local cam. And that's a terrible name for that. Actually, that's not the local cam. That says player manager. That says player manager. I pasted a new player manager. I can delete the old one. Okay, yeah, well, I'll just delete this then.
That thing's really cool. It would be really cool to do. You could do like an orbit or something on there too. So when you throw the ball, it's like orbits.
That's the trigger script. That's terribly called, well, there's no references to the file name, so it don't matter. You call it whatever you want. So let's, we can continue for now. So the other triggers should work, right, Mutz? What are you doing? I'm trying to put on a show here and you're putting up walls. What are you doing?
I was trying to walk up there and drop it and let it roll. But
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We'll see what happens. Okay, going to the first person one. Nothing's happening.
So
Looks like you have to grab it.
no, that's for the attached camera one. He's just rode over here in our way. So everything's firing. It looks like player manager's getting the change camera request with a value of 1. And so if we go at least that far, a value of 1. So this executed. This executed.
Maybe the property didn't get sent over. I know sometimes mine does that.
Wait a second. It says first person, but it's actually the text is just swapped.
But I feel like it needs to work for me on the other one.
Okay, I wonder.
It is working for you.
Yeah, you are not getting responses from your player manager. Let's reset. Let's just reset the world.
Okay.
make sure my manager, my indexes. I'm gonna create just a couple of more, just to be sure.
I did not use the world spawn either. If that matters.
I swear. Get out of my way. Alright, so we've gotten more. Let me clear everything. Are you in build mode?
I'm in build mode right now.
Okay, go ahead and spawn in.
I don't know how to spawn in, I just preview from here, but okay.
Yeah. So that should put you in first person, but you're not getting...
Nothing's happening.
But now if I spawn in...
How do I come in through the world spawn?
you hit that play button at the top of the screen.
Okay.
Let's check something. Come out of build mode. Come into build mode. On player enters world. Give me a console. Give me a name. And give me a player dot index. What else did you give me? What? No, I don't need that. Okay, let that save. Okay, should be good. Oh, spoke too soon. Should be good. Go ahead and spawn in for me. Try it, try a trigger. So all four player managers heard you enter the world and your index returns 0. If I enter the world, my index returns 1. Okay, which is perfectly fine. That means you should get player manager 0 and I get player manager 1, which seems to work for me just fine. I'm swapping cameras. Can't do that without a local. So let's dig a little further. Since we know we're working with camera 0, we can use that to our advantage and just single out just that player manager, just that camera. So I actually don't think I care about this. Let's drop. I'm just going to drop this down here. I just want to know that we got through both of these ifs. I know we did because they work for me. But we'll just confirm that at least they attempted this. And
Okay.
huh?
Got it. It worked. Just the trigger entered first person.
Very nice.
Yeah. Like I use the events like you did. So somehow that works to set up the event properly.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you mean the local or the connect?
Events.ps.
The what? Oh! I see what you're saying. Okay.
I could zip what I have and put it on there.
No, you mean like the file? Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um.
yeah.
So if this is camera 0, let's say, and well, actually, then I think it's just if it's not server player and this dot props. Well, I don't want to. Well, it doesn't really matter for now, anyway. Alright, so this should only hopefully tell me something anyway. Alright, go ahead and spawn in. Okay, so the only thing that happened was player manager executed here, which means we did transfer ownership. Which means I should have gotten... You know what it is?
No.
I wonder if I put a... I really shouldn't do that. What if we don't do this in pre-start? What if we come down here and just do it in the start? And we could also even delay this because I know you have a terrible internet connection and transferring of ownership takes time.
What the crap?
Yeah.
You think that's all it is work because you have good internet and I don't?
So I put it under a 10-second delay. Don't walk into the trick. Come out of the world for me. And when you spawn, don't walk into the trigger. At least 10 seconds. Go ahead and try your trigger, but I think I was expecting a message by now anyway. Yeah. What in the world could the problem be?
If you're the first person in the world, does it work for you?
Well, I mean, you always have index 0 regardless. No, I don't seem to be doing anything.
for me.
Is it just unreliable? Or do we have some kind of logic
Probably not
issue?
harmful.
How is an individual coding are we supposed to test these things out? Because like that would be an issue you wouldn't find until maybe too late in some instances.
Yeah, it's really always been a struggle, and there's no there's no easy answers to it, other than just the obvious, which is find some friends.
Yeah.
Or pay some people. I mean,
I mean, if you're just looking for like play testing, like the group as a class is great.
being a part of a community can be helpful if like you insist on, you know, developing solo.
Yeah, I mean I found that like I kind of joined to do the hackathon, and it's been hard to it's been hard. I really appreciate what you're doing, and some of the mentor talks have been really good, and some of there's some resources out there, but it feels really challenging for somebody that's pretty new to Horizon world.
You can say that again.
So let's just not wrap that. Let's just see if, because now it ain't even working for me. But also, maybe I didn't even wait 10 seconds. Whatever. I took the delay off. I want to see if it starts working for me again. Alright, I'm going to back out of the world.
Hi Noel, by the way, welcome. Man, you missed out. Some awesome stuff.
I didn't, well, it's not a problem.
Might be. Might be. Go ahead. Let's leave together.
Okay, how do I leave?
Top right, top left corner. The three lines. Return to creation.
Got it.
Yep. Are you back to your home screen?
Yeah, I'm waiting on you to head back in.
All right, I'm loading back in now.
I should sign off after this.
Yeah, I don't think should probably shut down, but I don't think moving it to start should have caused any problems.
Hey, it worked for me.
It did work for you.
Yeah. It's working fine now for me. How about for you?
No, actually, not even registering triggers. Or maybe I am. What's going on? What's going on here?
Are you supposed to pick up the ball?
No, we're just playing with triggers right now while watching console. So player enter trigger, seeing blue twice. So it is picking it up, but it's like I didn't get a player manager this time. I wonder if it makes me feel like maybe I've just done something wrong with my logic for setting up the player manager. I might have overlooked something.
It felt like you set it up so that the first player who entered would not get treated the same as the second player.
Oh, I did add that just for testing, and I forgot it was in there. So now that it works for you, let me save that change. Come out of the world. I'm going to stop the world, clear console. I'm going to play the world, spawn in. I'm going to try first person camera. It worked for me.
It works for me as well.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with my shit. The instance was just broke.
You didn't change anything. It's just now working.
Well, I mean, I did take that line out that you mentioned that I forgot about. But yeah, prior to having put that line in, when it wasn't working for you, wasn't my fault. Now do attach.
You don't make me sick. Good.
This isn't VR. Come on.
Right. And actually, I don't know if Drew's still here, but that's certainly why. Oh wow, that is wild.
You might fall off the edge.
This is why you can't do this in VR. If someone threw your camera in VR or moved your camera in VR,
Oh, yeah.
so immersive, you would be instantly.
Boot. Boot.
I mean, I'm aware of that, like, but it's interesting to think about if you're gonna build a game, you should think about your VR players. Like, there has to be an experience for them too. You know? I like the kaiju analogy, or like the way that they did that. That sounds really cool.
So there's plenty of other. We spent a lot of time getting this far, and I mean I feel accomplished because we achieved the one goal that we set out to achieve in the very beginning, which to attach a player to a ball and then throw it.
One more thing.
But there are several other camera modes that we need to explore, so maybe we carry this over into next week as well.
It's awesome. This is really
I
helpful.
really want to roll that thing down. That incline.
Are you guys all building for the hackathon too?
Yeah, I've got a world that actually uses camera changes.
How do you feel about how everything's going? At what point are you going to release the published world?
Probably the same time I do every time there's a contest. And that's like at the last minute of the 11th hour.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hi, Eric Luke. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry about that. I didn't know my mic. I've got a new setup here.
I haven't
just
been
wanted to
hearing
say
you much.
Hmm?
I haven't been hearing you much if you've been trying to talk.
Yeah, I don't know. Something was going on. I think I fixed it or whatever. But I just wanted to say thank you so much, dude. I pushed through. I got that simple script. I pasted it to the chat. And this is really cool with the camera on the ball. I love it. And we'll continue next week. I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's a cool little tool that we could let players play with in the class, and it incentivizes them to come in on mobile. All right.
Yes, good idea.
Go into the camera one where.
Yes, have fun.
Later, John. Do what, Mutz?
Go into the one where you're in the hall.
Nudge me. Oh, I saw your boot.
This is so good. Noel, this is how I'm gonna do all my interface.
Oh my gosh.
Hang on. Stay avatar at the bottom of the ramp. So go left just a little bit.
Mine? What? I don't even go left, you said?
Yeah, go left. More. Just a little more. Oh, you walked into the first person camera thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It would have been funny if you were if the camera was rolling away from me towards you. Yeah,
Well, hang on just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the YouTube stream at least. We can still continue to hang out in Discord. If you are on the stream, come by the website, look for the Discord link, and you can join us in the Discord. We're in the Build with BluNET channel. If you guys are still hanging out there in the stream, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down so it don't get super long on people. But we may hang out for just a little bit longer in the chat. I'm not sure how long though. But thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll do this again next week as well. So Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, in Discord and on YouTube. All right. Looks like we're probably continuing cameras next week too to take a look at the other modes. So look forward to that. Later, guys.
Alright, can we swear now?
No, hang